Truckers, Part 29. Masklin walked back and looked out into the bright emptiness of the garage. There were a few other lorries parked against the opposite wall, and one or two of the small yellow loading trucks stood where the humans had left them. To think he'd once called it a lorry nest. Garage, that was the word. It was amazing, the feeling you got from knowing the right names. You felt in control. It was as if knowing the right name was what gave you a sort of lever. There was a whirring sound from somewhere in front of them, and then the platform shook to a thunder roll. And like thunder, it didn't die away. The engine had started. Masklin grabbed hold of the rail before he was shaken off and felt Angelo tug on his sleeve. "It always sounds like this," he shouted above the din. "You get used to it after a while." Good. It wasn't a noise. It was too loud to be called a noise. It was more like solid air. "I think we'd better practice a bit to get the hang of it. Shall I tell the signaller that we want to move forward very slowly?" Masklin nodded grimly. The signaller thought for a moment and then waved his flags. Masklin could distantly hear Dorcas yelling orders. There was a grinding noise, followed by a jolt that almost knocked him over. He managed to land on his hands and knees and looked into Gerda's frightened face. "We're moving!" shouted the stationary. Masklin stared out of the windscreen. "Yes, and you know what?" he yelled, springing up. "We're moving backwards!" Angelo staggered over to the signaller, who had dropped one of his flags. "Forward slowly, I said. Forward slowly. Not backward. Forward." "I signalled forward," said the signaller. "But we're going backward. Signal to them to go forward." The signaller scrabbled for his other flag and waved frantically at the teams below. "No, don't signal forward. Just signal them to stop," Masklin began. There was a sound from the far end of the lorry. The only word to describe it was crunch, but that's far too short and simple a word to describe the nasty, complicated metallic noise and the jolt that threw Masklin on his stomach again. The engine stopped. The echoes died away. "Sorry!" Dorcas called out in the distance. They heard him talk in a low, menacing voice to the teams. "Satisfied? Satisfied, are we? When I said move the gear lever up and left and up, I meant up and left and up, not up and right and up. Right?" "You're right or are right, Dorcas." "Any right." "No, but..." "Don't you but me." "Yes, but..." Masklin and the others sat down as the argument skidded back and forth below them. Gerda was still lying on the planks. "We actually moved," he was whispering. "Arnold Brothers, established 1905, was right. Everything must go." "I'd like it to go a little further, if it's all right by him," said Angelo grimly. "Hello up there," Dorcas' voice boomed with mad cheerfulness. "A little bit of teething trouble down here. All sorted out now. Ready when you are." "Should I look in the mirror again? What do you think?" said Masklin to Grimmer. She shrugged. "I shouldn't bother," said Angelo. "Let's just go forwards, and as soon as possible, I think. I can smell all the petrol. We must have knocked some drums of it over or something." "That's bad, is it?" said Masklin. "It burns," said Angelo. "It just needs a spark or something to set it off." The engine roared into life again. This time they did inch forward after some grinding noises and rolled across the floor until the lorry was in front of the big steel door. It stopped with a slight jerk. "Like to try a few practice turns," shouted Dorcas. "Smooth out a few rough edges." "I really think it would be a very bad idea to stay here," said Angelo urgently. "You're right," said Masklin. "The sooner we get out of here, the better. Signal Dorcas to open the door." The signaller hesitated. "I don't think we've got a signal for that," he said. Masklin leaned over the rail. "Dorcas?" "Yes?" "Open the door. We've got to get out now." The distant figure cupped his hand to his ear. "What?" "I said open the door. It's urgent." Dorcas appeared to consider this for a while and then raised his megaphone. "You'll laugh when I tell you this," he said. "What was that?" said Grimmer. "He said we're going to laugh," said Angelo. "Oh, good," said Grimmer. "Come on!" shouted Masklin. Dorcas' reply was lost in the din from the engine. "What?" shouted Masklin. What did you say? I said, in all this rush, I clean forgot about the door. What did he say? Said Gerda. Masklin turned and looked at the door. Dorcas had been very proud of the way he'd stopped it opening. Now it had an extremely closed look. If something with no face could look smug, the door had managed it. He turned back in exasperation and also in time to see the small door to the rest of the store swing slowly open. There was a figure there, behind a little circle of sharp white light. His terrible torch, Masklin thought again. It was prices slashed. Masklin felt his mind begin to think very clearly and slowly. It's just a human, it said. It's nothing scary, just a human with its name on it in case it forgets who it is, like all those female humans in the store with names like Tracy and Sharon and Mrs. J.E. Williams, supervisor. This is just old security again. He lives in the boiler room and he drinks tea. He's heard the noise. He's come to find out what made it. That is, us. Oh no, whispered Angelo as the figure lurched across the floor. Do you see what it's got in its mouth? It's a cigarette. I've seen humans with it before. What about it? Said Masklin. It's a light, said Angelo. Do you think he can't even smell the petrol? What happens if it catches a light then? Said Masklin, suspecting that he knew the answer. It goes woomph, said Angelo. Just woomph, replied Masklin. Woomph is enough, said Angelo. The human came nearer. Masklin could see its eyes now. Humans weren't very good at seeing gnomes, even when they were standing still, but even a human would wonder why a lorry was driving itself around its garage in the middle of the night. Security arrived at the cab and reached out slowly for the door handle. His torch shone in through the side window, and at that moment Gerda reared up, trembling with rage. "Begone, foul fiend!" he yelled, illuminated as by spotlight. "Heed ye the signs of Arnold Brothers established 1905. No smoking! Exit this way!" The human's face wrinkled in ponderous astonishment, and then, as slowly as the drift of clouds, he became an expression of panic. It let go of the door handle, turned, and began to head for the little door at what, for a human, was a high speed. As it did so, the glowing cigarette fell from its mouth and, turning over and over, dropped slowly towards the floor. Masklin and Angelo looked at each other, and then at the signaller. "Go fast!" they shouted. A moment later, the entire lorry juddered as the teams tackled the complicated process of changing gear. Then it rolled forward. "Fast! I said fast!" Masklin shouted. "What's going on?" shouted Dorcas. "What about the door?" "We'll open the door! We'll open the door!" said Masklin. "How?" "Well, it didn't look very thick, did it?" The world of gnomes is, to humans, a rapid world. They live so fast that the things that happen around them seem quite slow. So the lorry seemed to drift across the floor, up the ramp, and hit the door in a leisurely way. There was a long drawn-out boom, and the noise of bits of metal being torn apart, a scraping noise across the roof of the cab, and then there was no door at all, only darkness, studded with lights. "Left! Go left!" Angelo screamed. The lorry skidded around slowly, bounced lazily off a wall, and rolled a little way down the street. Keep going, now straighten up!" shouted Angelo. A bright light that shone briefly on the wall outside the cab. And then, behind them, a sound like whoomph.